Good evening, good evening. How y'all doing? This is Dillon Cruz, the tattooed theologian on the God Squad pod, and we have a fantastic show for you tonight. We're going to talk some fundamentalist fuckwittery, uncover some hypocrisy, and news you can use. As always, I am joined by the amazing, the talented Desimber Rose. Good evening, D. How you doing?
What's up? Dillon Cruz, a tattoo dealer, and I'm surviving the Twilight Zone that we're in with this fascist dictator regime, this kakistocracy, which is that's gonna be the new Sesame Street word of the season. It's such a big, beautiful word.
It's getting used a lot these days.
Yeah.
It's increasing in popularity.
Yeah.
For sure.
So
well, before we jump into the news you can use, I just want to remind everybody that both Desimber Rose and I have essays in this fantastic book, The Unchristian Truth About White Christian Nationalism, from Choir Publishing. Check that out on Amazon, everybody, because more people need to know about Christian nationalism. I continue to be surprised when I mention these topics and people don't know what I'm talking about. So we walk in this world, damn near on a daily basis, but it still isn't as well known as it should be. So check that book out. And what's going on in the news, D?
What ain't going on in the news? People are, here's something that's bad and good. People are coming around to the clear understanding of what Israel is doing in Gaza. And
yes.
This manufactured famine, starvation policy that they have going on, and the children are dying, and just the wickedness of it. This is one reason why Benjamin Netanyahu and Trump get along so well, because the cruelty is the point. It's not for peace. It's not to root out Hamas. It's not for any of that. They have an objective that is completely, totally separate and apart from rooting out and defeating Hamas, which is they want to, quote, cleanse that area of Palestinians and uproot and remove them from there. And they're doing it with the blessing of the United States, not the whole entire United States, but at least the Trump administration. Trump talks a good game. He says whatever he says, but at the end of the day, he's still basically co-signing whatever Netanyahu is doing.
Yeah.
But people are coming around. More countries are saying flat out. And surprisingly, I guess this past week, even your girl Marjorie Taylor Greene came out and said, it's genocide going on there. Yeah.
Yeah. When you start losing Marjorie Taylor Greene, you know things are real bad. Yeah. Multiple nations, though, are now calling for Palestinian statehood, including today Canada has joined a list of, France, Norway, Spain, Mexico, Ireland, Brazil, and South Africa are all calling for Palestinian statehood because of what's going on. And I saw today that Mike Huckabee and the U.S. I don't know what is Witkoff. What is that his name? Is over there in Gaza trying to ascertain what's going on. And what's going on is that they're killing people who are lining up for food. And that's what's going on. And they're taking people off of, the flotillas that are trying to bring in aid. Yeah. Chris Smalls was abducted by the IDF and beaten, but he was released, but not after being, not until he was beaten by Israeli soldiers for having the temerity to try to bring food and medical aid. I did learn this week that the World Central Kitchen and Doctors Without Borders was starting to get aid back in slowly again this week. So I donated to both of those organizations. So if you can do that, if folks who are listening have an extra 10 or 20 or however many dollars this month, maybe throw it to World Central Kitchen or Doctors Without Borders, because what's going on over there is a humanitarian disaster that is completely manufactured. um, and the collusion between the United States with the weapons and Netanyahu. And I would not be at all surprised to know that Netanyahu's got some dirt on Trump. I would not.
Listen,
I mean,
who
because
doesn't got some dirt on him at this point? You
right,
know?
right.
Yeah. Julian Glover says the hardened hearts against the children is brazen. Judy said so wicked, sad, and inhuman. It is, and I've seen some of the pictures. I can't even stomach to want to look at some of those images that are coming out of Gaza. But it's starting to. It's almost like when the civil rights movement was happening in the United States, and the journalists came into the South and started showing what was happening, showing people getting, sprayed down with the fire hoses and the dogs getting sicked on them and the horses. And then, and then the country started being like, this is bad, So thank God for journalism, and
Right.
This is why journalism is this is one reason, just one example of why journalism is so essential and so important, because how would we know? Judy said the images make me tear up. Me too. I mean, you're seeing these babies with their backbones, just little skeletons, basically just little skeletons. And you think about seeing that, and whenever any aid shows up, you probably just can't imagine people just so desperate, trying to just get any kind of food. And then you hear about them bombing the aid locations. You cannot say that it's about Hamas. You can only say so many times, well, Hamas was under the building. They had a tunnel under the building. Did they have a tunnel under the food truck?
Right. Yeah.
It starts,
they did find out.
Ridiculous.
They found out that there was no evidence of Hamas stealing aid, despite reports from propaganda outlets that were saying, well, we can't let the aid in because Hamas is stealing it. But that proved to be false. So
that doesn't make sense anyways. You got the people there. As soon as any truck shows up, the men, the women, the children, they're there with their bowls, with their hands out. What do you mean they're stealing it? It's not lasting more than a few minutes after it gets there. You're eyewitness to the people starving that's showing up getting it. So what are you even talking about?
Yeah.
And so at some point the truth has to come out. I for one believe that whenever all the dust settles, we're going to end up with what similar to what happened with apartheid or whatever thing else. There's going to be all these international war crimes trials and hearings and reparations panels, and this is going to be generations long.
There needs to be a Nuremberg trial for all of those who are responsible for this, and I include the United States in that, because we are culpable as a nation, because of what our elected leaders are doing. And domestically, the news is not good either. The memorandum protecting religious expression in the federal workplace. Did y'all hear about this? It says that people can start proselytizing in federal workplaces, and that if I go to the VA hospital, that they can play religious music, or the doctor or dentist can pray over me. Y'all, I'm a theologian. I do not want that happening. I am 100% in favor of separation of church and state. It even says that supervisors can talk to their subordinates about religion, and that they can tell them that their religion is wrong and that they should convert to the supervisor's religion. Or any employee can come up to somebody and go, hey, I heard you're a Jew, or hey, I heard you're a Muslim, or hey, I heard you're an atheist. Did you know you're going to hell? Hey, I see you got a pride flag. Did you know you're going to hell? And they've got all these justifications from the Office of Managing Personnel Management. And the director of the OMB, former director Russ Vogt, is behind this. Mm-hmm. He's the one who said that Christian nationalism was going to be a key element of Trump's second term. He was a key author of Project 2025. And now this memorandum has gone into effect. And it says that if a non-adherent requests such attempts to stop, the employees should honor the request. But it doesn't say must. It just says should, which
And
leaves
that's every word is
just
intentional.
enough ambiguity there that to me it sounds like they're intentionally trying to set up a hostile workplace for anybody who's not an evangelical Christian or a Jew. Now, in the list of things that you can have, religious items that you can have in your space, and the kinds of things that you can do, it only mentions Christians and Jews. It does not mention that you can have any kind of crescent or Islamic thing or whatever. So I'm going to wait for people who are not evangelical Christians to flout this, because there's got to be a Satanist somewhere up in there, or
even just a Hindu, a Buddhist,
a Hindu, a Buddhist, or whatever,
a Wiccan, or any of those things.
Yeah, and just be like, nope, you do not talk to me. I already have a faith. Leave me out of it. Or some Christians that can post some stuff that clearly contradicts what the regime is doing with Scripture. That
Right.
would be good to see.
We got many flavors of Christians. They're
Right.
certainly not talking about the kind like you and me, where
Right.
they're not talking about those who follow Christ. They're definitely talking about their brand, their narrow brand of fundamentalist conservative Christian.
Yeah, but this is very
white.
dangerous. This to me is a very dangerous memorandum.
It's basically state-sanctioned religion.
Yes,
Making a federal religion.
Yeah, and
I promise you, just like the stand your ground laws are not for everybody. They're on the books. Right. They exist. They're real. But I promise you, they're not for everybody. They're definitely not for folks who look like me. Those rules and things that they're putting in place, those policies, they're not for everybody. They're not for the Buddhists. They're not for the Hindus. They're not for the Muslims. Like you said, they're not for the Satanists. They're not for anybody. They're for their level, that brand, flavor, and sect of Christianity that this government is acting like they follow or sanction. Trump isn't acting like has never acted like a Christian all his natural life. But the folks that are around him that are using that he's their useful idiot, their version of Christianity.
Yeah. It is a dangerous precedent. I can't imagine the ACLU will let this go, or the what's that organization that John Freedom from Religion, or Freedom something Foundation that he advertises on Sirius XM sometimes. Separation of church and state is the Establishment Clause. It's right there. It's not hard, folks. And this is a brazen horseshit memorandum that tries to pretend that Establishment Clause doesn't exist. Yeah. Nowhere does it say that you should be able to do worship and hold prayer meetings on federal property in the Constitution, or proselytize other people. And James Madison and his, he wrote the First Amendment, and he also wrote other documents. You can find them at Founders Online. I'm not making this stuff up. Where he said there should not be any religious test for any kind of public office or civil service or any of that stuff. There should not be religious test. Separation of church and state. Wall.
And then how does that work with the power dynamic, just like with sexual harassment?
Right.
Where you are afraid to speak up because you're afraid that you might be retaliated against. So if I'm a person who is a Muslim and you got this Christian that's running around the office trying to project their religion onto everybody, and they're in a position of power, a supervisor or a manager or whatever, can I say anything? Would I feel like I could say anything? In this day and age, you could get let go just like that, and with no recourse.
Right, and then they could just find some Christian nationalist sycophant to replace you with, and that's where I think that they would like to see this go, just like with the Project 2025 and the Office of Personnel Management and the Office of Management Budget, where they say we're gonna get rid of all of the activist people. In other words, we're going to get rid of people who are experts in their field, and we're going to replace them with people who are going to enact the president's agenda.
Yeah. Yes, men. Yes, women. Qualifications be damned. It doesn't matter what their qualifications are. We're finding out it doesn't matter what the qualifications are. They talked about getting rid of DEI because they're a DEI hire and the DEI this and the DEI that, and they don't deserve that position. It's just because they're brown, black woman, indigenous, LGBTQ, native, whatever. No, you're the one that's putting in all the DEI hires that didn't earn it, folks. Folks with no qualifications, folks with no experience, folks with no resume to match with the jobs that you're giving them, no ability or capacity to do the job. You know, he is the prime example of the thing that he was projecting onto the Biden administration. He is doing it himself. But everything about this administration and Trump in general is always going to be projection. Anytime he opens his mouth about someone else, it's a projection onto himself and his administration. Full of incompetence and clowns.
And speaking of incompetent clowns and did not earn it hires, the chief of the EPA, Lee Zedlin, this week has announced what could become the largest deregulatory action in the United States history. And let me be clear, environmental deregulation harms marginalized communities the most.
Just like everything else.
And what they're trying to do is roll back all the endangerment finding, because that finding says that greenhouse gases, including carbon dioxide, are a danger to humanity because it's making the planet uninhabitable. Mm-hmm. And climate scientists like Professor Michael Mann and Katharine Hayhoe, who is a Christian, by the way, Katharine Hayhoe is, say that we have to mitigate warming immediately. And this elimination of the endangerment finding tells polluters that they can just keep polluting. And it's a boondoggle for the automobile industry, for the gas and the oil industry, and all of those kinds of things. And if it does go through, which they're trying to do, they're claiming that it will save the American people $54 billion. Where are they going to spend it? This is the only fucking planet that we have. And folks, I have studied climate change for many, many years. It's not fake. It's not stopping. We have passed some pretty important and dangerous thresholds already, including the 350 parts per million threshold. We're way past that.
All you got to do is pay attention. There's so many 100-year storms that's showing up every couple months. These floods, these fires, these tornadoes. If you're just paying any kind of attention, something is definitely different these days about our climate than before.
It's absolutely
no making this up. This is reality.
Yeah, but people like Lee Zedlin and all these Kelly Loeffler and other Trump sycophants, and this was in Project 2025. I read this in the Project 2025 document, in the EPA chapter. They think that climate change is a hoax and that they are going to gut this climate change religion and all this stuff and get America's economy booming. One planet, folks. And literally, we have a narrow window. Michael Mann, the climate scientist, he's one of the leading climate scientists in the world, has said our window of opportunity is getting smaller and smaller all the time. He's not a doomer, but he's a realist.
He's a realist.
And this kind of thing could take however long to overturn, and it would hamper future presidents if it goes through, because then they would say that the precedent has been set. Well, the precedent's already been set since 2009, when all of the science has said that this is what's going on. And these jackasses do not care about anybody but people with big bank accounts. But I don't know where they're spending that money.
Right. You just answered Joanne McCree's questions. She said our weather is so bipolar. How do they not see it? They see it just like we see it. They don't. It's all about money. It's all about money, power, control. That's it. You can't not recognize and see how our weather patterns are so different, how things are changing, how hot it has become, all these crazy floods and stuff.
We've had flash floods up here like 3 times in the last 4 weeks.
Right. Matt says climate change is, there's no way species like us could ever impact the flat earth the way the liberals say we do. Right. And that these tin hat folks, that's exactly their thought process. That's exactly their thought process. And they're watching the same things happen in our earth that we're watching, and then saying it's not real. And it's not real because what, you don't want it to be real? It's
Yeah.
happening. It's
Yeah.
happening. There's
And you
some
don't
islands
stop
that
it.
will not exist by the time my children are adults. It's real, and it's happening.
Yeah. Well,
You know?
the Trump administration put out a report, and with a bunch of phony baloney in it. And this is what Michael Mann said about the report, which probably touches on this issue with the endangerment. All they've done is recycle shop-worn, discredited climate denier arguments. They've constructed a deeply misleading anti-scientific narrative built on deceptive arguments, misrepresented data sets, and distortion of actual scientific understanding, then dressed it up with dubious graphics composed of selective cherry-picked data. There's nothing scientific about this report whatsoever. In other words, the Trump regime is lying to the American people. Because capitalism kills, y'all. Capitalism kills. And remember when there was a giant hole in the ozone back 25 years ago? And you know why that hole closed? Somebody brought up the CFCs, chlorinated fluorocarbons. Because the entire planet went, oh shit, there's a giant hole in the ozone. Maybe we should ban CFCs. And the CFCs got banned, and guess what? The normal processes of the biosphere repaired the hole in the ozone layer that keeps us safe. So if we would act as a species on climate change, we could ensure a habitable planet for everybody that's alive now, or we could continue to line the pockets of capitalist idiots.
I'm assuming they're probably going to continue to do the latter, but we will continue to report the truth. It is what it is. There's no getting around it. There's no hiding your head in the sand. It's coming to a city near you. Climate change. It's coming for all of us. You can't outrun the climate. You cannot outrun it. It's going to show up in the form of a flood, or tornado, a tsunami, an earthquake, as we saw. Whatever the case, it's coming.
Yeah, these clowns, they're harming people, and that's a big part of my first book, Go Golden, which touches on climate change and permaculture, and that's why it's a theological issue, because the least of these are going to be harmed by this.
Mm-hmm.
The least of these will be harmed by this.
They're fine. Their bank accounts are fine. They're living in these big, fancy houses out of harm's way. They don't care. Same thing with gun control. They don't care about that. Their kids are behind security measures and things in these private schools. They don't care nothing about public schools getting shot up. They don't care until it sits on their front porch, impacts their own house, impacts their own bank account, impacts their own lives, impacts their own health. They don't really care what's going on with us out here on Main Street. They don't care.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's the truth of it.
Well, when Main Street gets burned up in a wildfire or devastated by tornadoes and hurricanes and floods, maybe they'll start caring when it's people in their district, because there's no, like you said, it's a closed biosphere. Our biosphere is a closed system. There's no place where people can go that will not be affected by this. So, folks, stand up for climate action. Call your representatives. Call your local, city council, county commissioners, and whatnot. One habitable planet, and destroying the planet is another thing that is not going to make Jesus come back.
Because it seems like that's their thing, right?
Yeah,
with Trump, with everything is just got to get that Trump, got to get, as in the Trump, the sound, and got to get raptured up. Yeah, I'm saying.
Yeah, that's an idea of fundamentalist fuckwittery that I heard from my ex-wife. Why does it matter what we do to this planet? God's going to make us a new one. So that's a prevalent idea amongst those kind of folks. And with that, I think we've reached that time for the fundamentalist fuckwittery this week. And one more thing. I got to bring this up because I don't know if y'all saw this, but this Nazi nitwit is running for governor in California. And this Nazi nitwit, Kyle Langford, created this photo. And, as a pacifist, it pains me to say this, but this dude has a very punchable face.
He really does.
He does.
He looks like a creep.
He looks like a total creep. And he posted a tweet of himself photoshopped in front of Auschwitz, the concentration camp, and said, my 0% unemployment plan, and that his German ancestors would be proud of him. So this is Kyle Langford, y'all, and he is running for governor of California, and he is a straight up fucking Nazi. So if you're in California and you happen to go to a campaign rally for this clown, let him know how you feel. All right, now let's get to the fundamentalist fuckwittery this week. And this probably will come as no surprise to anybody that's been paying attention, because the fundamentalist fuckwittery this week is brought to you by Oklahoma State Superintendent Ryan Walters, a MAGA sycophant of the highest order. And under his leadership in the state of Oklahoma, he is a former teacher himself. The state of Oklahoma now ranks 50th in education. And why is that? Because Mr. Walters is focused on the important things. Some of his greatest hits include being a white supremacist. You know, he doesn't like DEI, and he's trying to partner with Prager University, with white supremacist Dennis Prager, to create an assessment that will keep woke teachers out of Oklahoma. I'm pretty sure most woke teachers don't want to go to Joklahoma, Ryan, because you're 50th in education, you have terrible teacher pay, and your schools are underfunded because of jackasses like you. He wants to mandate that the Bible is taught in social studies class. Now, not the Quran, not religion, the history thereof, the Bible, and his conservative white Christian nationalist version of the Bible. He ordered all schools to show a video of him praying for Donald Trump. Now, I don't think he was probably praying for Donald Trump to have a come to Jesus meeting and repent of being a pedophile and a sexual predator and felonious, money laundering mob boss wannabe. No, he was praying for the MAGA America First agenda. He tried to use state funds to get 500 Bibles. And then he tried to get
the Trump Bible.
Trump Bibles, 500 Trump Bibles. Then he tried to craft legislation where they would have to buy 55,000 Bibles for students. And they had to be King James in some kind of leather or leather-like. And it all boiled down to describing both the Lee Greenwood and the Trump Bibles, because it had to have the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, which, folks, that's blasphemy. I don't care how orthodox or heterodox you might be like I am, but putting secular documents into a Bible is blasphemy. He apparently, according to Right Wing Watch, he really loves the spotlight and kind of shamelessly seeks it to get, on Fox News and stuff like that. He has aligned himself with the fascist group Moms for Liberty. Those book banning people and the libs of TikTok and all that. He appointed Chaya Reichik, the founder of Libs of TikTok, a hate account, to the Oklahoma Library Advisory Board. This woman has absolutely zero credentials to be anywhere near that particular position, and she should probably not be allowed into a library without a police escort. And now, and then he was also part of the trying to get public funds for religious charter schools, which the state of Oklahoma said that goes against our Constitution. And he was like, no, it don't. And then they went to the Supreme Court of the United States, and that was a deadlocked court. So the order to not allow that remained. But this week, this fool was in the news once again because during a meeting of the State Board of Education with three board members in the room in his office, two of them looked up and saw on his television what was described as vintage pornographic material with full frontal nudity. And they both expressed shock because, hey, we're in a meeting and this is, in a state building. And obviously you're not expecting to see boobs and pubes on the tube, right? and one of the women, what was her name? Becky Carson, said, what is that on your TV? What is that on your TV? And she said he responded like a teenager getting caught doing something he wasn't supposed to do. That he turned around and looked and went, oh my God, what is that? And then he tried to fumble around and got it turned off. And then after that, he just tried to pretend like nothing ever happened. And this was corroborated by a third member of the board. So two people saw it and commented on it. And I watched them get interviewed on an Oklahoma City news channel today. And they said, his response was not, oh my God, I don't know how that got there. We're going to get to the bottom of this. Absolutely, 100% for sure. But his response was this, and this was the interview that I want you all to see.
I would love to hear what went down. Walk us through what happened during that executive session.
Sure. I mean, what we've seen here is the grossest lies and political attack that the state's ever seen. We have a cable TV box back there. And we have got a gross accusation that's already been proven by OMS and the sheriff's office to be impossible to have happened. There's no devices connected to that cable TV. It is a cable TV set. We've got board members that are lying and crucifying my character to stop the work we're doing here for Oklahomans. And I will not tolerate these lies, the character assassination. My family has had to hear this nonsense for 4 days of something that is demonstrably false because board members with Governor Stitt decided to tell a lie and spin a narrative that is impossible to be true. So what we're seeing is a political attack to assassinate my character because they're trying to stop the will of Oklahomans to bring education reform. And I'm just absolutely not going to tolerate it.
Okay, now, who did that sound like to y'all? It's a witch hunt. It's a hoax.
It's a hoax.
It's a political
bullshit, Joanne.
It's a hoax. Well, the funny thing is that he mentioned Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt as being in on this. Well, Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt is a Christian nationalist who, on the day of his inauguration after his reelection in 2022, in a public prayer in front of the state capitol of Oklahoma, said, "I claim every inch of Oklahoma for Jesus Christ." Now, why would a fellow Christian nationalist be against his fellow Christian nationalist bringing Christian nationalism to Oklahoma schools? And the members of the board said, look, we don't know if it was Walters. We're not saying that he was responsible, but it was on his TV in his office, and we want to get to the bottom of how that happened. But he's saying that they're lying. He's saying that the board members should resign in disgrace for telling these lies. But as they said, he turned, looked at the TV and went, ugh, and then started fumbling around trying to get it turned off. And as you saw in the video, Walter said that the thing could not be done, that it was shown that it couldn't be done, and that he's already been cleared by the sheriff's office. Lies, both of them. As the Oklahoma News city news channels have reported, and multiple newspapers in Oklahoma have reported, the sheriff's office said, we have only just begun our investigation. He has not been cleared of anything at all. And they saw that the TV could stream things and could have things cast things to this TV. But Ryan Walters was trying to say that that was physically impossible because it was connected to a cable box or whatever. So that looks an awful lot to me like a deny, attack, reverse victim offender Darbo technique that narcissists and abusers often use. And we've seen it time and time again with the current pedophile in chief, Donald Trump, Mango Mussolini in the White House. Everything that goes against him is a witch hunt, a hoax. It didn't happen, or it was Obama's fault. It never existed. Biden did it. Comey did it, etc. All three of the board members that were in that room are Christians. I looked them up on their Oklahoma board member pages, and even though it's a state thing, all of them listed their church activities and stuff like that. So they're all Christians too. And this looks an awful lot like Ryan Walters had a little bit of a, oops, it's Mercury retrograde. I forgot to turn the porn I was looking at off on my laptop, and it somehow cast to his TV. Now, that may not be what happened, but it sure does look by his reaction and his multiple lies to the news organizations who then said, no, that's not what the sheriff's office said. That's not what the Office of Educational Management, whatever, said.
And they need to do a run through of his laptop and electronics, and they'll see whatever he's been watching. And I expect hopefully that'll come out, but they may block it. Matt says they're all cut from the same cloth. Exactly. It's never, they're always talking about LGBTQ this, the trans community this, that, it's never the drag queen reading to children in the library that's doing this.
Right.
It's always the preacher, the politician, you know what I'm saying? The person who's up on Fox News screaming their head off the loudest about this stuff that then turns around and gets caught in the very same bullshit that they're trying to project onto everybody else.
Yeah.
Okay. Name one time where it was the drag queen that's reading books at the library that got caught up in this bullshit. They don't, not one time.
Right.
It's always these motherfuckers that's making the most noise about a thing that's doing that very thing.
And all this time.
What kind of fool does this? What fool does he take us for talking about it's not connected to anything? It's a cable box. Are you out your damn mind? Any smart TV can be cast to.
Yeah.
From a laptop, from even a cell phone, can be streaming anything. Who does he think he's talking to?
Well, he thinks that because he's a white Christian nationalist, he can just get away with this nonsense. But he said, this is just somebody trying to stop the work that the people of Oklahoma want us to do. Motherfucker, you are 50th in education on your watch.
On your watch.
You went, it started off at like 45, 47, and on your watch, it's dropped to the bottom. You are clearly not getting things done that matter to the people of Oklahoma, and you're leaving your students behind, often students of color and the indigenous communities of Oklahoma, of which there are many.
And who's plotting on you so deep that they all up in your office streaming stuff on your TV in your office during your board meeting? How would they even know that you'd have the camera in there for you? Get the hell out of here with the bullshit.
I mean, and to say that it's a conspiracy from the governor of Oklahoma, who again is not a good person. He's a Christian nationalist who is way too enamored with the death penalty. And he's probably, way too enamored with white Christian nationalism too, because he's a white dude in Oklahoma. So I'm just putting 2 and 2 together and making 4. But for all of these reasons, and Ryan Walters is a horrible human being by choice, he is this week's representative of fundamentalist fuckwittery. And I hope that if it was him, that the truth comes out and he has to come up and do a big ass mea culpa, Jimmy Swaggart, I have sinned against you, my Lord thing. And then his ass could be out of a job. And then he can't get a job as a teacher no more either, because that was one of the things that the board member said. She said, if that had been on a teacher's TV, they would be out of a job. Right now, they would be out of a job.
Right now, instantly. And I hope the one that had told him, take that down, get that off of there. I hope she's the one that's championing the investigation.
Oh, she was. She was the one who went and said, this needs to be investigated immediately. And he said it was a big conspiracy. She said, no, I was the one who went because I was a 30-year classroom teacher, and these are the kind of things that need to be investigated. Mm-hmm. So she's got credentials. He was a classroom teacher, but he didn't have, he was only a classroom teacher for a little while. But she has 30 years of experience. And again, all three of those board members were Christians. The one who did not see it, but heard them say that they saw it, said that they were definitely shook by what happened in that meeting. And then he tried to just act like nothing ever happened.
And everybody can't be lying.
Everybody can't be lying. But I bet Ryan Walters has already been shown to be lying at least twice, because he said he was cleared by the sheriff's office and that there was no way that could be done. But both of those proved to be, as he said, demonstrably false. So my guy, repent, man, because clearly you need it. And look, I do not have a problem with people in the privacy of their homes looking at sexually explicit material in which consenting adults are engaged in sexually explicit activities. That's their business. That's their business, and I don't think I think that's a value neutral thing. Mm. Right? But if you're going to run around banning books and talking about woke and DEI and gender ideology and LGBTQ, this and that and the other thing, and then do that shit, then the comeuppance, I hope you get it. And I hope it's a kick your butt between your shoulder blades kind of moment.
Clean and quick.
Exactly.
Expose all of them, Lord. Pull the covers off, turn the lights on all these motherfuckers, for real.
Exactly. Well, that's the fundamentalist fuckwittery this week. A little birdie told me that there might be this motherfucking hypocrisy this week too.
It is. It's always... Every week we got a new batch of motherfuckers to talk about, right? It's no shortage of these motherfuckers. Every week if we don't have some already queued up, we get some brand new ones. So I got one real good one. I actually got two. You sent me one that just before I get round to my main hypocrite, I gotta show the people just this mess here. Look at this. I'm not gonna read this. I'm gonna summarize it. I'm not gonna read it word for word because it's too much for me. Basically, Azalea Banks, this heifer, this clout chasing, trying to stay relevant by spouting out bullshit motherfucker, is saying that basically it's all right for Trump to be tracing around 15-year-old girls. And back in the day, teenage pregnancy wasn't frowned upon, and how her grandmother had her first child when she was 12. Your grandma was raped too, you stupid fuck. Just because she had a child at 12, what makes you think she wanted to have a child at 12? What makes you think she wanted a grown man taking advantage of her body at 11? What's wrong with you? And would you want that for your daughter? Because that's not what I want for mine. But there's people all over the world and in this United States specifically that think like this.
Yeah.
These are the ones. These are the red hat motherfuckers that are like, so what? He got some brand new, whatever the case is, And if for a woman to say it is especially heinous to me.
Yeah.
You're not a girl's girl. You're inhumane. Because I promise you that very few of any of these young ladies were doing any of this stuff in their free will. So are you sanctioning rape? What are you saying? What are you even saying? It doesn't matter if it was a statutory rape or forceful rape. The bottom line is these are creeps, wicked pedophiles, criminals. Okay? And for her to come on here and say this mess, I don't have the word for her. This motherfucker doesn't seem sufficient for this clown ass girl.
Yeah. And she did a whiplash on this so hard because at first she said, first she was saying that, we got to get to the bottom of this stuff and all this stuff. But then she ends this thing by saying, but if the girls were 13 plus, who cared? Move on.
I have a 13-year-old daughter. There's no fucking way I want some 30, 40, 50, 60-year-old sweating ass motherfucker talking to my daughter. Even talking in her direction, let alone jumping in the bed with her.
No.
This is a sickness.
Yeah, this is some.
And it's people who follow behind on. They wouldn't accept it from anyone else. They wouldn't accept it from Obama. They wouldn't accept it from Biden. They wouldn't accept it from Bush. They wouldn't accept it from Clinton. But this motherfucker, everything goes. Anything goes. This same woman right here. This bitch right here. I promise you, this same female dog would not have this same post if it was Barack Obama. I promise you on God and my kids that this heifer wouldn't have this to say if it was Barack Obama. Azalea Bates could kiss the darkest part of my black ass, and she needs to go back to whatever cave she crawled out of and quit trying to clout chase relevance. And if she wants to serve up her own daughters, if she got any to old creeps, she can do that. But as for me and my house, I'm protecting my daughters. And I'll protect anyone's daughters. And she can really go fuck herself. No Vaseline. So that's what I got to say about that stupid ass heifer. But besides her, there's some hypocrites on the loose. These white Christian nationalists and their bullshit and them being on their high and mighty self-righteous soapbox about abortion and about this and about that thing and this thing and about the trans community of the LGBTQ folks reading books. If you don't want an abortion, don't get one. If you don't want to be married to a gay person, don't get gay married. If you don't want to transition from the gender you were born to another one, don't fucking get a treatment for it. Leave people the fuck alone. But you're out here on your soapboxes talking about morality, talking about the foundations of this country, talking about trying to make your religion the policies and then have the government enforce the Bible. And then behind closed doors, you're on that bullshit. You're on that bullshit. And so that's what we're going to show right now. This motherfucker right here. Let me show you this.
Videos I've ever made. I can say without a doubt, this is my least favorite video. I don't want to do it, but I am. And it's going to come out. So you're going to find out one way or the other. So I may as well tell you myself. I know that Giovanni Capriglione has been having affairs since 2005 because it's me. I'm her. I'm not proud of it. In fact, I'm ashamed of it. Hopefully you can keep in mind that we all have a past. And I wish I could say for him that that was the worst of it, but it's not. Due to legal reasons, I can't divulge much more until tomorrow. And then I believe I'm free to divulge everything, is my understanding. So I have every intention of doing that. But yeah. So let the judgment begin.
You all, did y'all see that? Did y'all see that? And it's always, I love you too, Joanne. It's always these motherfuckers that's
Mhm.
on their soapbox, so self-righteous, talking about abortion. This and what she comes around to say is that this starch pro-life Republican, Mr. Capriglione, I'm not sure if I'm saying his name right or not, Giovanni Capriglione, not only has he been having a affair for the better part of 2 decades, he has paid for multiple abortions. And this is motherfucker wants to make it where you can't even get an abortion if you're raped. No exceptions for rape or incest. Medical, none. No exceptions. There might be one that he went to for life of the mother. And then we're finding out that doesn't even become an exception because the doctors are afraid unless you're at the death's door to give you the treatment, and it ends up being just as bad because they wait so long to be able to prove that you need it medically. So it's just as bad as if it didn't even, there was no exception for that either. And he's so on his box about this thing, but behind closed doors, not only is he having, which he admitted to having a 2 decades long affair with Alex Grace, the former exotic dancer that you just saw, but he denies all the other allegations. But you know it's true. You know it's true. She continued that post online over the weekend, detailing more specific allegations. You can go back and look at that. She said it's a 17-year-long affair. Okay, that was him committing adultery with it, also paying for abortions. Okay, but here he is on his soapbox, on his microphone, in his bully pulpit of the office of politics that he is in, trying to deny women the right to choose what happens with, to, and comes out of their own bodies, while he is counseling out the life that he's putting in her body over those years. And that's these motherfuckers. That's these Sadducees and Pharisees. That's these hypocrites. That's these clown ass Republicans, conservative, so-called conservative Christians, making all this motherfucking noise, trying to legislate the Bible into policy, make the government enforce it, while behind closed doors, they're doing every goddamn thing that they're telling you that you shouldn't be doing. Watch them. Pay attention. Pay attention to what they're loud about. Pay attention to what they harp on. Pay attention to what they're trying to run through the legislative and make and enforce on you. Because likely it's a projection. It's a projection of what's out of control in their own lives. And they're trying to overcompensate with laws, with policies, with politics, for where they are morally failing in their own lives, or what they're keeping hidden and covered up by their religion and their positions in their own lives. And that is these motherfuckers. Azalea Banks, stank clown, creep ass, and this clown ass hypocrite, Giovanni Capriglione, however you say it, that's how the fuck you say his last name. And shout out to that woman, to Alex, I think that's her name, for coming forth and putting herself out there. That took courage.
Oh yeah.
That takes courage to be that girl and say, I know he's done it because I'm the one that he done it with. I know that he's not anti-abortion because he paid for me to have a couple. Not one, not two. That takes courage because these MAGA folks are fucking lunatics. You're opening yourself up to all kinds of danger and threats and death threats and stuff dealing with these folks. It's not enough for them to disagree with you. They got to kill you and counsel you out. They got to remove you from the planet. So shout out to her for having the courage to tell the truth, to tell the truth. Everyone has a past. Everyone does. I'm not judging her. I'm judging him more harshly because he's the one out here telling you about how you should live your life. and trying to make laws about how you can and can't conduct yourself behind closed doors. Meanwhile, he's in a damn near 20-year affair, having paid for multiple abortions. Fuck all of them. Fuck Azalea Banks and her clown ass. And fuck this motherfucker. And all of these motherfuckers. They're out here loud and proud with their bullshit, living like the goddamn devil behind closed doors. And that's all I got to say about these motherfuckers this week.
Married with 3 kids. And not only is he a sexist, misogynist fuckwit for his anti-woman stances on reproductive health care, he voted no on the Equal Pay for Women Act, HB 950, in his legislative career. And he's not seeking re-election because of these allegations. And I'm with you. I think that she wouldn't be saying that if it wasn't true.
No, what incentive would she have to put
what yeah, like exactly what incentive would she have? What incentive would she have to tell the truth about this affair? And I mean, 17-year affair with an exotic dancer. Again, I don't have any problem with somebody stripping or having a relationship with a stripper, but if you're married and you're not polyamorous, then you probably should not be doing that. And if you are one of these conservative Republicans telling people, like Desimber said, how to be and how to live and talking about morality and whatnot, I don't know what you do. What you doing in the strip club to begin with?
What are you even doing there? Why do you even know this woman? You're Christian, what conservative family values, straight-laced businessman. Why do you even know her? Let alone 20 years. Fucking clowns. With your secret lives and your secret lovers and your secret children. And conning people out of, and then your backdoor kickbacks and bullshit. And these are the people that are in power. And these are the people that Trump are surrounded by. These kind of people that want to make life difficult for you. Rules for thee and none for me. So that the 10-year-old and 12-year-old who's getting raped, who is getting abused by their father, stepfather, uncle, whatever the case, you're going to make it hard for her to be able to control her life and not have her life ruined by a pregnancy. But you're going to make it where your life doesn't get ruined by impregnating your mistress. You're controlling the narrative in your own life while snatching the narrative away from young girls and women who need that care. Shame on you. Shame on you, you clown and you hypocrites. All these motherfuckers can go straight to hell. And I mean that in the most serious way. They could burn right up with gasoline draws. I don't even care. They could jump off the highest cliff. They could go play in rush hour traffic. I don't care if they stop breathing tomorrow. Fuck all of them. Because just who the fuck are you? And what right do you have to tell people what they can and can't do? What's morally right for them? Why, this is who you are behind closed doors. They can all just jump off a cliff quickly in a hurry. Anyhow, do we have any good news? Is there any good news before we get to the word on the street?
Well, I don't have a lot of details, but I did see that in multiple states, sex trafficking rings have been broken up this week. I think one was in Florida and one was in Mississippi.
And weren't some of these dealing with the ICE agents? I saw one on the news where an ICE agent got.
That's right. Yeah, there was an ICE agent that was involved.
Which the way that they're going about all this stuff, that seems like par for the course to me. You snatching up folks with your face covered in unmarked. You could be snatching children out of schools, young girls. Who knows what you're doing with these kids? Yeah. But
also, Democrats have sued. I think it was 12 Democrats have sued the Trump administration because of ICE and not being able to do their required congressional oversight. And then there were 5, I think, senators who invoked some rule to have all, not just the grand jury stuff, which most lawyers have said doesn't really say much, all
Yes,
of the Epstein files made public to the Senate so that they can get to the bottom of this. And one of the things that I saw this week was, in partisan politics in the United States, it's almost impossible to get anybody to agree on shit. But it was like 85% of MAGA and 80% of just general run-of-the-mill conservative Republicans and 90% of Democrats and 85% of like middle-of-the-road people want the Epstein files released.
Yeah.
So this is not going to go away. And I just want to remind everybody that the victims have said that Ghislaine Maxwell is a predator every bit as awful as Jeffrey Epstein, even though Newsmax started calling her a victim this week.
She's not a victim.
Yeah, no, she's not a
She
victim.
intentionally sought out these young girls. As a
Yeah.
matter of fact, Trump was the reason Epstein got kicked out of his club wasn't for messing around with young women. Is because he was poaching his young girls out of his spot to work for him. He said that out of his own mouth.
Yeah, that they stole her.
It wasn't because he was a creep. It's because he was poaching his employees, which happened to be the young girls, out of his spot.
Yeah. So they're doing these 5 senators. I can't remember who it was, but they invoked some rule because their committee has oversight over things like this, so they can do that. And so they have done that now, and now it will probably set up a legal battle. But also, and further good news of the MAGA meltdown, some people are finally waking up to the fact that Donald Trump is all up in those files.
And he played them.
And he already admitted he was a sexual predator. So it's almost, I would say that the chances that he's not a sexual pedophile predator are so infinitesimally small as to be scientifically negligible.
Right.
And
now he's trying to say that his name was planted in the files.
Oh,
my whole thing is, look, how you go from 4 years of campaigning on releasing the files, saying they're on your desk, saying you're looking at them right now, saying you gave some of them in binders to these right-wing podcasters and whatnot, saying you're going to roll out the rest of them so they don't even fucking exist, back to, oh, they exist, but Obama and Biden created them. Then back to, they're not real, but wherever my name is at, it was planted in them. If you don't get the fuck out of here with that bullshit, anybody that believes it is a straight up clown. Trump called them stupid. They are stupid if they believe that.
Yeah. Well, even Nick Fuentes, that Nazi little shit who the woman came to his house after he said, my body, your body, my choice forever, and like sprayed him in the face with pepper spray or whatever. That dude is now calling Donald Trump a fat ass losing liar or something to that effect. Oh yeah, because of the Epstein files. So that's good news.
So this might end up being the thing that MAGA divorces Trump over. At least a portion of MAGA, the ones that are in their some of their right mind.
Yeah. So, the vast majority of the people want to see this happen, including the lunatic fringe in MAGA land. So cracks in the foundation.
Them. Keep the promise. Now you're in there. Now you don't want to keep the promise. Now you want to gaslight everybody and say it doesn't even exist. Come on now. It's not going anywhere. And I'm so glad that he got questioned about that all the way over there in Scotland. You're not or Ireland or whatever. You're not getting away from this. You're not getting away from it, and it's not getting away from you. And I dare them to pardon Ghislaine. Go ahead and pardon her so you can lose your whole base.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he has talked about pardoning Diddy already.
Yeah. He did what?
He has been floating the idea of giving Diddy a pardon.
That's pandering.
Oh,
he
yeah.
might do it, but that's so he could get, I don't know, the blackmail vote, whatever, 10% or whatever he thinks he might get of their support. I don't know. I don't give a fuck about Diddy. He did what he did. And anybody who watched that video of him kicking that girl in the head and on punching her and beating her up on the ground and has any sympathy for him, you're a clown and a stupid ass motherfucker too. I don't have any
Yep.
sympathy for an abuser.
Nope.
Who
Nope.
his
Nope.
only reason for stopping that life is getting caught.
Right. Yeah.
He'd still be
Well,
doing that shit.
predators of a feather flock together.
That's right. These what did Kendrick Lamar say? These things, they run in flocks. They run in you know, like you said, they run together. They run together. So it would make sense if he did pardon them. You know, they have the same spirit.
Yeah.
Fucking power maniac creeps, power tripping creeps. But anyhow, word on
Let's
the
leave
street.
with the word on the street. December Rose has the word on the street tonight. What you got, D?
After all that, right? Word on the
Right.
street. The word on the street comes from Khalil Gibran, and hopefully I'm pronouncing his last name right. This is a mystic, historic mystic, Khalil Gibran. And I really like this quote. He has a lot of beautiful quotes. We want to relegate that word scripture just to the Bible, but in my personal opinion, anything that is empowering, anything that is uplifting, anything that is inspiring, anything that is true, like the scripture says, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are just, lovely, to me it's scripture, right? And so in this quote from Khalil Gibran, it says, one day you will ask me which is more important, my life or yours. I will say mine. And you will walk away not knowing that you are my life. I'm going to read that one more time. One day you will ask me, which is more important, my life or yours? I will say mine, and you will walk away not knowing that you are my life. And that is the word on the street that I'm going to leave you with, because we are all each other's lives. We are all connected. Don't think for 1 minute that the things that are happening to the starving children in Gaza is not part of you. We're all part of creation. Don't think for 1 minute that, and yes, I say things like, you know, they voted for this and stuff when it comes to the Hispanic community, but the Hispanic community at large did not vote for Trump. He got more vote than he normally gets, but overall, he did not get them overwhelmingly. So overwhelmingly, they did not vote to have their restaurants raided, to have farms raided, to have be hit, you know, run down in Home Depot. People that are working and paying taxes into the system. They claim to be going after criminals and gang leaders and stuff. Like, when's the last time they talked about any criminals and gang leaders? These people are running down folks in farms, picking our vegetables. These folks are running down folks in our restaurants. These folks are running down in their masks because they're not proud of who they are and what they're doing. Because if you are, why are your face covered? When does that ever happen? Why are you covering up the face? They're running down folks at Home Depot that are doing work, that are building up this country. They're not proud of what they're doing, and they're going to pay for it. You reap what you sow. And so don't think that it's not connected to you. All of this is connected. The persecution of the LGBTQ community, the trans community, all this stuff's connected. The stopping and siphoning and withholding of funds from U.S. aid, from helping starving children here and there, girls go to school, vaccines in countries. We talk about how COVID started way over there in China. You know how Trump says China and all. You know what I'm saying? Let these diseases get out of control, millions, thousands of miles away. It'll end up on these shores eventually. All this stuff is connected. Right. I am you and you are me, because that's the way God, as far as I'm concerned, that's the way it is. That's creation. Everything that comes from the earth is connected, but we all come from the earth. And so that is the word on the street that I have for y'all, which is deep. That's Khalil Gibran, an awesome mystic from back in the day. Go check him out. Check out his books, The Prophecy, The Prophet, and all his other works. Beautiful, thoughtful writings. Like I said, anything that's encouraging, uplifting, empowering, and enlightening to me is scripture, no matter where it comes from. And scripture could be a song, lyrics, you know. And so I hope that impacted you in some kind of way. That's all I got, Dillon. That's all I got. Joanne says she agreed. Yes, we're all connected. We are all connected.
That's right. Well, folks, that is our show tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe, and share. help us to build our audience so that more people will know about the fundamentalist fuckwittery and the hypocritical foolishness and the kakistocracy that's going on, because just because I know about it don't mean everybody else does. And our voices are important.
That's right.
And our listeners are important. So like, subscribe, and share. And peace be with you all. We'll see you next
week. See you next week. Tell somebody about the show so they can get some faith, sanity, and politics. All right, y'all, take care.